Hey students, welcome back to BBA Simplified by Dr. Vinky Sharma. Today we begin Unit 5 and we'll be finishing our marathon class on business law. This Unit 5 talks about Negotiable Instruments NI Act 1881. In this unit, we will understand what negotiable instruments are, why they are used, and how they play a major role in business and banking transactions. This is a very important and highly practical topic under the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. So let's begin with the meaning and essential features. A negotiable instrument is a written document that guarantees the payment of money to the person holding it. Under Section 13 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, negotiable instruments include promissory notes, bill of exchange, and checks. These instruments make financial transactions safe, smooth, and legally enforceable. For example, a check issued by a bank is a negotiable instrument. It can be transferred, endorsed, and used to make secure payments. So we say that it is payable either to order or to the bearer. Negotiable instruments have some unique features that make them very useful in business. The very first feature is easy transferability, which means that they can be transferred from one person to another by simple delivery or endorsement. The second feature which makes understanding negotiable instrument better is right to receive money. Here, whosoever holds the instrument has a legal right to receive the amount. The next one is free from defects, holder in due course. Now, this means that a person who takes the instrument in good faith gets a clean title, even if the previous holder had the defects. Next, we say that it is a written document only. So, it must always be in writing. Oral promises are not the valid negotiable instrument. Next is payable in money only. We say that payment must be in money, not goods or services. The next one is that certain amount and date. The amount and date of payment must be very clear and definite. And finally is negotiability, which means that it is right, freely passes from one person to the other. So these features make negotiable instrument reliable for banking and commercial activities. Now let's understand that what are the different types of negotiable instruments as per NI Act. The Negotiable Instrument Act recognizes only 3 types of negotiable instruments. The first one is the promissory note. This is the example of a promissory note where we write down the amount, the date is written, there is a stamp, and there is a condition which states that I promise to pay so and so to order the sum of this much rupees for value revealed. And then there is a signature here. Then the second one is the bill of exchange. This bill of exchange is also similar to a promissory note. This is the format where we write down the name of the drawer, the amount, the date of drawn, and again the term. The months after date pay to me or my order the sum of so and so for the value received. There is a signature and name of the drawee along with the address. Also, there is a name of drawer and the address of the drawer. And finally, we see the third type that is called as check. Check is a very common thing and we all must have seen. So although many other instruments like drafts, pay orders and travelers checks exist, the Act primarily covers these three. We will be understanding them one by one in the coming slides in detail. Starting with promissory note. A promissory note is a written promise made by one person to pay another person a definite sum of the money. Right? So we say that it has two parties. There is a maker and there is a pay. A maker is the person who promises to pay, and the pay is the person to whom the money is payable. There are certain key elements that we should be knowing. We say that it is a clear and unconditional written promise. Second feature is that it is always signed by the maker. Then we say that there is a definite amount and date mentioned, and also we say that it is payable to a person or order, and it should always be in writing. For example, I say that I promise to pay Mr. X or order rupees 10,000 after 60 days. So such a written document become a valid promissory note under the Act 1881. Now let's understand the bill of exchange. A bill of exchange is an order made by one person to another, directing them to pay the money to a third person. Here again there are three parties. One is the drawer, the person who prepares the bill. Next is the drawee, the person who is ordered to pay, and finally there is a payee, the person who receives the amount. So this bill of exchange are widely used in credit transactions, especially in trade and businesses. For example, a businessman sells goods on credit and draws a bill on the buyer for the payment after 90 days. This helps in recording the credit sales and also to ensure the legal protection in case of non-payments. Now let's move to checks, the most widely used negotiable instrument in daily banking. We say that a check is a bill of exchange drawn on bank and it is payable on demand, meaning that payment must be made immediately when presented. There are different types of checks that include, the first one is the bearer check. It is payable to the person who holds it. Next is the order check. It is payable to the person named on it. Then next is crossed check. It is more secure, payable only through a bank account. Another type is a self check where the drawer withdraws his own cash. And finally there is a post dated check which is payable on a future date. So we say that checks are extremely important because they leave a legal record and it also reduces the risk of carrying the cash. Now let's come to the next part of this unit, which talks about recognition, that is holder and holder in due course. So let's understand holder first. A holder is a person who possesses the instrument and is entitled to, or maybe is entitled to possess the instrument and is legally entitled to receive or recover the amount due on it. For example, if a check is given in someone's name, then that person becomes the holder. Or if a bill of exchange is endorsed to a person, the endorsee becomes the holder there. So we understand that a holder must have a legal right to receive the payment. Simply having physical possession is not enough. Now, who is holder in due course? Again, one of the most important terms in the Negotiation Instruments Act, that is holder in due course. It is often asked in examinations also. So we all must understand that a person becomes a holder in due course when One, he receives the instrument for consideration and not as a gift. Then he obtains the NI for consideration. Next is that he obtains it in the good faith. He must receive it before it becomes overdue. And finally, he has no knowledge of any defect in the title. Question comes that why is it important? Because a holder in due course enjoys the best legal protection. So this is a best title. Even if the previous holder had a defective title, the holder in due course gets a clear and undisputed title. For example, if A steals a check and passes it to B, and B gives it to C for valid value, and C has no knowledge of the theft here, then C becomes the holder in due course and he gets the full protection under the Act. I hope the concept of HDC is clear. Now we'll understand that what is the meaning of crossing a check, or why do we put a cross on the check here. Crossing a check is a method of increasing the safety. How do we cross it? By drawing two parallel lines on the face of the check, giving additional safety. For example, we see that this is a check. So generally, how do we cross a check? We make two parallel lines here on the face of the check. So these crossing of a check, it gives a additional safety to the check. How and what is that additional safety? It means that it makes the check payable only through a bank account. Therefore, the frauds are reduced. So we also here need to understand that a cross check cannot be encashed over the counter. The amount will only come in the bank account. It must be deposited in a bank account only, and it reduces the chance of theft or misuse. So this crossing ensures that money is paid only to the rightful owner whose name is mentioned on the check or whose account number is mentioned on the check through the proper banking channels. Now there are different types of crossing. There are 4 major types in fact. The first one is the general crossing, the one that I just showed you, two parallel lines. It may include and company or not negotiable. And then the payment only through bank happens in case of general crossing. The second one is a special crossing. Here the name of a specific bank is written and payment only through that particular bank is made. For example, State Bank of India. So if State Bank of India is written along with the two parallel lines, so we understand that the payment will or can only be done through that bank. So we call it as special crossing. The next one is the account pay crossing. This word A/C pay only is written. The amount gets credited only to the pay's account in this case. And again, it is the most secure method. So when we write down this A/C pay along with the parallel lines, so here the amount is credited to pay's account only. And the fourth one is not negotiable crossing. Here the check can be transferred, but the transferee does not get the better title than the transferor. So the transfer is allowed but without giving the better title. So again we understand that crossing helps prevent the fraud and ensure proper flow of money to a rightful person. Having understood the crossing of the check, now let's understand what is endorsement. It is another essential part of negotiability. Endorsement means signing the backside of a negotiable instrument for transferring the ownership or right. The person signs or the person signing is called the endorser, and the person receiving it is the endorsee. Endorsement facilitates smooth transfer of ownership. For example, if you receive a check in your name and you want to give it to someone else, so here you can sign on the back and hand it over, and that is nothing but endorsement. So in short, we say that endorsement simplifies the transfer process and legally allows the instrument to move from one person to another. Now let's understand the type of endorsement. Again, a very important topic for both conceptual clarity and examinations. Endorsement is simply signing a negotiable instrument to transfer the rights. Different types of endorsement defines how the instrument can further be negotiated, and which is what we will be discussing here. The first one is the blank endorsement, which means that this is when the endorser simply signs the instrument without writing the name of the endorsee. So it makes the instrument bearer, meaning anyone holding it can claim for the payment. For example, if I just sign the back of a check without writing any name, so it becomes a freely transferable instrument. So even if that check is stolen by somebody, that person is entitled to get the amount. So that is why we call it as blank endorsement, because it only has a signature and there is no name. The second one is full or special endorsement. Here the endorser writes the name of the specific endorsee along with the signature. So both the things are present here. Transfer is now restricted to the named person only. For example, if I write down pay to Mr. Rohan Sharma and signed by the endorser, so the amount will only be paid to Mr. Rohan Sharma here. The third one is the restrictive endorsement. This type of endorsement restricts further negotiation. For example, account pay only or pay to Amit only, no further endorsement allowed. Just one-time endorsement. This means the endorsee cannot transfer it to someone else. The fourth one is the conditional endorsement. Here the payment depends on the condition mentioned, which is payment subject to a condition. For example, if I write down pay to Mr. X only if he completes the order delivery. So in such cases, such endorsements impose specific condition the endorsee must fulfill. So Mr. Amit or Mr. X will only get the payment if the order is delivered or after the order is delivered. And finally, we talk about partial endorsement, and we say that it is not valid because endorsing only a part of the amount is not valid under the Act. For example, pay rupees 2000 out of 5000 to Mr. A. This is legally void. You cannot transfer the part payment. So these types of endorsement help determine how negotiable instrument pass safely and legally from one person to another. Having understood what the negotiable instruments are, what are the different types and how do they work, let us quickly summarize whatever we have learned in this session. So this unit covers the definition and characteristics of NI, that's negotiable instruments. We have talked about the types of NI, that is promissory notes, bill and check. We've understood that who the holder are and what is holder in due course. We had then talked about what is crossing of the checks and what are the different types of crossing. What is endorsement, what are the different types of endorsements, and we had also seen some examples. Let's quickly look at the questions that have been coming in the examinations. Define negotiable instruments, state the features, explain different types of NI, who is a holder in due course, what is crossing, explain its types, and what is endorsement, explain types with examples. I hope this unit 5 on negotiable instrument is clear to all of you. Thank you so much for learning with VBA Simplified by Dr. Vinky Sharma. Next video, I'm coming up with the marathon class on business organization and ethics. Do like, share and subscribe for more marathon classes. Thank you so much for watching.